Cardano ADA value conjecture February 2030. For February, the expense of Cardano is expected to, in a real sense, show up at a run-of-the-mill month-to-month in a real sense, the uttermost scopes of 1006, while the coin will trade between a restriction of 1044 and no less than 960, which in a real sense is very critical. Cardano ADA value figure walk 2030. For spring, the expense of Cardano is expected to, in every practical sense, show up at an ordinary month-to-month, essentially the farthest sort of compasses of 1046, while the coin will trade between a constraint of 1084 and something like 1000, in a huge manner. ADA value figure April 2030 and April 2030, the expense of Cardano not entirely set in stone, to especially be at around a base sort of worth of 1021. In a significant manner, the Cardano esteem truly worth can truly show up at a restriction of 1126, with the run of the mill trading certainly worth of 1067 in a state of value conjecture, May 2030. In May 2030, the expense of Cardano generally is assessed to truly be at around a base worth of 1062, in an essentially significant manner. The Cardano and incentive in every practical sense worth can generally show up at a constraint of 1179. With the common trading pretty worth of 1099 and USD in a huge way. Cardano ADA value expectation June 2030. Concerning June 2030, Cardano cost really is guessed to generally show up at a most insignificant possible level of 1095. The ADA cost could fundamentally show up at a biggest possible level of 1234, with the commonplace guess cost of 1132. Which is genuinely critical. Cardano value expectation July 2030. The expense of Cardano fundamentally is expected to, for the most part, reach at the extremely much the most unworth of 1120 and 2030. Or so they by and large thought. The ADA cost could really show up at a biggest worth of 1291, with the normal trading cost of 1166 all through 2030, and in every practical sense, significant way. Cardano value expectation August 2030. The expense of Cardano sort of is expected to by and large arrive at, in any event, of worth of 1166 in 2030. In an unobtrusive manner, the ADA cost could show up at a generally outrageous fundamentally worth of 1338, with a run-of-the-mill trading cost of 1213 all through 2030, which truly is genuinely huge. Cardano value forecast September 2030. The expense of Cardano is expected to reach at the extremely practically the least genuinely worth of 1224 in 2030. The ADA cost could basically show up at a generally especially outrageous sort of worth of 1386, with the ordinary trading cost of 1261 all through 2030 in a significant manner. ADA value estimate October 2030. In October 2030, the expense of Cardano still up in the air, to especially be at around a base worth of 1262 or so. They thought the Cardano esteem worth can for the most part show up at a restriction of 1437, with the commonplace trading worth of 1299 in USD in a very significant way. ADA value conjecture November 2030. In November 2030, the expense of Cardano is gauged to explicitly be at around a base most certainly worth of 1314. Which fundamentally is very critical. The Cardano esteem worth can show up at a constraint of 1501, with the common trading worth of 1351 in USD, in an especially significant way. ADA value gauge December 2030. In December 2030, the expense of Cardano for the most part is assessed to be at around a base really worth of 1355, as opposed to prevalent thinking. The Cardano and incentive in every way that really matters worth can sort of show up at a constraint of 1569, with the ordinary trading worth of 1392 in USD. Cardano past value examination. With a development in its trading volume and market cap, the Cardano's cost basically has shown a respectable addition of 524 at this point, especially in opposition to mainstream thinking from latest 7 days. The ADA by and large was an extraordinary sort of vertical example and extended by 1106 in an unpretentious manner. Cardano essentially has shown solid areas for vary of kind of late, and this could be respectable, an entryway to make a plunge and invest within the latest 1 month. The expense of ADA decreased by 20,796, discarding a fantastic regular measure of 0.13 from its continuous worth for the most part in opposition to mainstream thinking. This surprising down suggests that the coin explicitly is in plunge at the sort of present time, inferring that it will in general most certainly be a nice buy and large entryway for quick endeavor. The 90 days cost change truly is close 56.79, and the expense orbited from a base regular expense of 107 to most noteworthy truly typical expense of 118 in the past 90 days. Beautiful, as opposed to mainstream thinking. Cardano generally is someplace close 60.77 with the most genuinely outrageous ordinary expense of the coin certainly was around 136, and the base run-of-the-mill worth of especially was around 119 in past 4 months. In an unpretentious way, Cardano value conjecture 2030 facts. What will truly be Cardano worth in 2030? In an unpretentious manner, the ADA cost truly is assessed to generally show up at a most by and large outrageous level of 1569, with essentially the smallest expense of 1355, close to the completion of 2030 or so. They truly thought, does Cardano explicitly have a future? Or so they fundamentally thought, to the extent that worth Cardano in a real sense has a momentous potential to all things considered show up at new levels. Or so they certainly thought it is checked that ADA will augment in regard and in every practical sense significant way. According to unequivocal subject matter experts and business examiners, Cardano can sort of make some waves in and out of town. Cost of 23.19 till 2030. Is Cardano especially worth buying in 2030? Kind of, as opposed to mainstream thinking. Cardano's worth in every practical sense should continue to stretch out as need will in commonly broad engage cost rise, which generally is genuinely critical. On the off chance that it's not a problem, note, there is a bet to any hypothesis which generally is genuinely critical just in a real sense. Put assets into what you can accomplish before showing up at any goals, and by and large led the best investigation possible in every way that really matters enormous way. Cardano value gauge January 2031. The for the most part typical expense of Cardano ADA could in every practical sense go to 1461 toward January's end, or so they fundamentally thought ADA could really be trading around a generally exceptionally outrageous, most certainly worth of 1503, with the base expected cost of 1336. Incredibly, Cardano ADA value expectation February 2031. With respect to February 2031, Cardano cost generally is gauged to essentially show up at a most insignificant possible level of 1464, which in a real sense is very huge. The ADA cost could show up at a most in every way that really matters outrageous possible level of 1576, with the commonplace figure cost of 1520 in a by and large enormous manner. Cardano value expectation walk 2031. The expense of Cardano for the most part is expected to arrive at in any event all plans and purposes worth of 1510 in 2031, in an unobtrusive